Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to this very special NS9 live, I guess you can say, NS9 Q&A. I'm your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me, we have, of course, no introduction needed, but MLB.com's very own Alex Stumpf. Alex?
Yeah.
How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, it's Alex.
It is Alex. I mean, you got the haircut. I couldn't really tell.
You were drawing up. I've done the show since the haircut.
I don't care. You need the haircut back.
No.
I mean, you need the lack of haircut back.
I think it's going to be this lengthish, if not shorter, for a while.
Okay. Well,
big news.
Sorry, guys. I tried. But yeah, so with us, we have, of course, Alex Stumpf here live at Dallas in the winter meetings for a little Q&A session. So for all you join, again, this is your opportunity to ask some questions. We'll, of course, have Alex here answer them. And let's just start off with this one. So Cliffy does ask, assuming we get an outfielder, feel like we pretty much have to. Do you think it's via trade or signing? Any thoughts on who would be a good fit?
I mean, to start off with the obvious, they will add to this outfield group before all is said and done. They can't go into next year with, Billy Cook or Jack Sawinski or Nick York, being penciled in as your everyday right fielder. They need to add to this group. If I had to take a pure guess right now, I would lean a little more towards free agency just because they traded so much, pitching depth in the Horwitz deal. Not saying that it can't happen or, that it won't, but that would just be my guess right now. I think someone like Max Kepler, who has, a history with Derek Shelton, has a good track record. If he's healthy, that would be a real good fit as like a 1-year prove it deal type of deal. So I would look there, as a possible good fit to fill out that outfield.
That's interesting. Yeah, and actually, I forgot about the whole Kepler-Shelton, ties there too in Minnesota. So, yeah, I guess that's definitely an option, something we talked about. But all right, so awesome. I guess next question we have here. So, Alex, have you heard about the trade talk about Mitch Keller and Jared Jones?
I haven't heard Jared Jones. I had one person inquire if I heard anything about Keller going on there. I mean, I came in here reporting that the Pirates had starting pitching available to trade. And I kind of thought that would be more Bailey Falter, Luis Ortiz, which obviously ended up happening, and all the minor league depth that also ended up happening. I don't think that they want to unload either one of these players. They don't want to unload Mitch Keller. I mean, they signed him to a long-term extension, this past spring, in part because they really trust him and they want him to be a leader of this rotation. Even if Paul Skeens is the ace at the moment, Mitch is still the leader of the group. I think it would take a lot to take him away from him, especially after you traded Ortiz. Not to say that they can't trade another starting pitcher, but you can't do it too many times because this is the strength of the team. You can't make it a weakness or anything other than potentially one of the best rotations in baseball.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. Like, I'm also interested in that sense too. Like, Luis Ortiz was traded. Does this change that or not? We'll find out, I guess. But yeah, that's the talk of Pirates Twitter today now.
Not to say that they won't trade another starting pitcher, but I would say it's less obvious than it was, coming into here. Like, hey, they need hitters. They've got starting pitchers. Everybody wants a starting pitcher. What do you do from it? It's a little less obvious now of what they're going to do with that rotation moving forward.
Right. Awesome. Okay. So next question we have does come from Eric. Do you believe payroll will increase from last year? I would normally assume so, even if it's minimal, but the ridiculous Keller trade talk has me a bit concerned it won't.
I do fully expect payroll to increase. Now, the caveat to that is Mitch Keller is set for a pay increase the way his contract's structured. So is Brian Reynolds. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa was getting the MLB minimum, and now he's going to be getting $7.5 million. So even whenever you lose Aroldis Chapman and Jalen Beeks and Brian De La Cruz and Connor Joe, back of the envelope math, that bit more or less just cancels out more than it creates, $10, $15, $20 million of extra room. I do expect payroll to go up. I don't think it'd be, an astronomically big, they're adding 40, 50 million, but, nudge up. They should have a little wiggle room, especially now that they have a first baseman who's not going to cost 10, 15 million dollars.
And I think what's on people's minds too, this kind of go off of that too. You're not looking at Keller as like a salary dump to shed.
Oh, no.
You're looking at more like a baseball move, right?
Yeah, you're moving Keller from, you could allocate dollars elsewhere and also add to the team in a way that you want. This isn't Ivan Nova to the Chicago White Sox for a nobody that I can't even remember, right now. This is not that. They still like Mitch. They still value Mitch. Mitch is going to be in the mix for, maybe even opening day start. Who knows?
Awesome. Good stuff. All right. So the next question we do have comes from Max Wellington. Any expectations of the money saved on first base going towards a major bullpen or outfield help, or more spread around smaller contracts of multiple players?
I think it will be spread around. I mean, not to say that they can't make a bigger signing for one player, like the Aroldis Chapman deal type of deal. Whenever they had a little money left over, it's like, okay, let's put more eggs into one basket. Having a guy who's going to be making basically the minimum next year at first base does free up a lot of opportunities of how you want to spend the rest of your money, though.
Good answer. Next question we do have from Ethan Fisher. So Charlie Morton reportedly unlikely to go back to Atlanta. Trade another starter pitcher, bring him back?
I haven't heard anything about Charlie. I don't know. It was kind of ugly at the end, whenever he left here. Completely different regime and everything, but it's still Pittsburgh. There could be maybe some bad memories. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about Charlie. I haven't really inquired all that much about him. If you're bringing back a starter, I bring back Jose Quintana.
Ooh, okay.
Again, nothing I've heard. Just
right.
I just know how much he was loved in that clubhouse and how, that type of guy would also be a good fit right now.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree with that. I will say this too. The Brent Strom coming back, Charlie Morton kind of lining. Pirates and Bradenton. Charlie wants to be home for a lot of times. Like there's writings on the wall could happen. I can see why people are looking and questioning it.
I didn't hear anything, but I didn't really pursue that one.
Ben says he's been saying Quintana as well. Awesome. We have any more questions? So Matthew Desmond says, would a Keller for Lawrence Butler or JJ Bleday trade happen?
I don't know. I haven't heard anything with Oakland. Like I said, the whisper I just heard a whisper with Keller, and it was just more macro of they're willing to trade starting pitching. I don't know what Oakland's doing right now outside of, signing Severino and being in the mix for Max Fried. I guess in a pure hypothetical, they could be partners, but because Oakland does have outfielders, but Pirates also value defense in this equation. I don't think JJ Bleday really helps them in that way. An outfield of Brian Reynolds, who is first percentile of outfielder OAA.
Yeah.
Bleday and O'Neal Cruz still learning the position could be potentially disastrous. I think you need to get at least a competent.
So what you're saying is it's Rooker then for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
All right. We have another one. So Penn, also shout out to Penn for the two here. So how long until future NL MVP Triolo is everyday third baseman?
Good news about Hayes. Everything I've heard out here, like that he is recovering well. He's doing baseball activities. It's what I've gathered, basically hoped that he'd be at, at this point in the off season. It's his position if he's healthy. It's really as simple as that. They still believe in him. They still want the best out of him. So I wouldn't say anything with Triolo is imminent other than Jared Triolo is going to factor into this team somehow. His versatility is maybe his greatest strength right now.
That I agree with for sure. Awesome. All right. So Barron says, have the Pirates discussed bringing back Ryan Borucki? If not, any southpaws in the pen?
I haven't heard anything with Borucki. They are definitely looking at left-handed relievers right now. We're going to see. I mean, the guy that they just got in the minor league Rule 5, not to say that that's the answer. I'm not saying that, but the LeBeau or something like that is intriguing. I mean, if they could get a Joshua Palacios type guy, maybe he could factor in just as like a depth up-down guy type of deal. But they do need to add a left-handed reliever in this mix. Last year with Barecki going down, Jose Hernandez takes a step back. Jalen Beeks doesn't work. It was just a mess, the entire year. You need to have that type of reliable lefty. Derek Shelton really relies on having, a lefty to get those left-on-left battles in the 7th, 8th inning, 6th inning done.
Cool. We have another question. So, replace high-end lefty Chapman with high-end lefty Tanner Scott?
I don't see them spending that much money on Tanner Scott. Even though, I mean, I asked Shelton straight up, is David Bednar your closer? And he gave I fully expect him to bounce back. He gave a very resounding answer there. He didn't say yes, though, to the actual closer question. So,
interesting.
Maybe they're dangling that carrot to any potential free agent of like, hey, if things go wrong with Bednar, you could get an opportunity.
Okay. Another question here. So, Jones and Keller's name being brought up. Theme of the day, Alex, like I said.
Yeah.
Jones and Keller's name being brought up is interesting. Is that Kyle Tucker is likely to be dealt? Anything there in your opinion?
Kyle Tucker for one of those guys?
That's what I'm assuming here, yeah.
I mean, I would be shocked. I wouldn't count on that.
Okay.
We're not making up Rizzo rumors yet in here?
I guess not yet.
Wow.
All right. So Zachary says, do you think they want Horowitz to play every day or platoon?
It's a good question. Right now, probably one that I should have just asked the general manager, so that's on me right there. But they acquired this guy for him to play. Like, I don't think they're going to just platoon him. They gave up a lot to just platoon, so I would assume he's going to get an opportunity to face lefties, even though I've seen the splits. They aren't particularly flattering. You have to give this kid a chance to play, in my opinion.
Cool. Pitt City. What? Alex, how much exactly will payroll be in April? To the dollar, please.
To the dollar?
To the dollar. I hope Ethan's watching.
$98,736,425. Book it, Ethan.
Boom.
That is a pure guess, if you couldn't tell. It's going up in my. It's going up from what I've heard.
I'll give you that. It's your guess, but it's showing you about where Alex is thinking.
Yes.
All right. So Barron says, any updates on the Pirates bullpen coach?
Still looking right now. It could potentially be an internal hire. I mean, the longer it goes, the more I'm thinking that it is going to just be internal, because I don't know if there are really that many great coaches, available at the moment. Like, getting in Brent Strom was the big thing for this pitching team, and I think they're still working through what his role is going to be with this team. He's going to be coaching from the dugout. That's what he's familiar with. So I don't know if it's going to be just a regular bullpen coach. Is it going to be someone who has maybe less responsibilities but could excel in other areas? One guy I thought could maybe factor in before he became the catching coach was Comedina, because he's around there. He knows how it operates. If Strom was, working out there, maybe that could go. I mean, I thought that was a outside possibility before, he got his own promotion not that long ago.
Yeah, that makes sense. We have another question here from Barron again. So what have you thought about Robert Murray mentioning the Pirates in on the catching market? Are they planning on trading Davis? No, this is definitely a good question here.
I have had same person who asked about Keller also asked about Davis. And then I heard, what the Pirates do with catchers. Do they trade anyone? So I haven't had anyone explicitly say Henry Davis is on the block or anything, but I think if the right offer came around, the Pirates would consider it. Because they have 3 catchers right now, and Joey Bart, they're very open, has the pole position for the starting job right now, as he should, because he had a really good year last year. So Henry Davis isn't going to the outfield anymore. Like that's from what I've gathered is pretty much dead. It's what do you do with the 3 catchers, 4 catchers? I don't want to say no, they won't sign a catcher or they're not going to be in the market, but I think they're pretty well set right there, unless something happens with a Henry Davis. If an Endy, falls backward, which the report out of Endy so far is still, positive, good. So I don't want to say no, but if it's going to be someone like Yasmani Grandal, I wonder if it would be more likely he comes back as a coach than a player. Not to say that he's retiring or anything, but the coaching staff really liked Yasmani Grandal, and if he so wanted to, I think he would have a job in Pittsburgh.
Interesting. Okay. And then we have Rob, who says, how can we hear just one day before that Reynolds will be transitioning to first base and then make the move to Spencer?
Because Spencer went to a different team in that day. Like it's something. Yeah, I mean, it was something that the Pirates and Guardians, they've been talked about a couple different options at first base, and I would assume that this trade with the Blue Jays, was coming together for a while, and they kind of targeted Horwitz as someone, and that's how it happened. But that's how, for the most part. Yeah. I don't feel bad about that one. Every once in a while, I'm like, oh, they're doing something. It's like, oh, well, okay, that didn't end up coming to fruition.
Well, I'll say this. It seemed as if Cherington wasn't as committed when asked about it, where Shelton seemed a little more.
Shelty was definitely
there's a lot of options out there.
Shelty was definitely more bullish about the idea. And I would assume that the program still goes forward and, they're still going to proceed. Brian Reynolds, I would expect him to play some first base, at this season. You don't dedicate this much offseason time, develop a program just for it to come to fruition or not come to fruition unless it just goes disastrously. Sure. And Reynolds is too good an athlete, in my opinion, for that to happen.
Understood. All right. So we have Penn. Is it a lock that Kutch will resign?
I would be absolutely shocked if Andrew McCutchen is not a Pittsburgh Pirate in 2025.
Thank you. Chances Figueroa is on the opening day roster.
It's a possibility. I mean, he has the fourth option, this year, but he's got the defensive flexibility. You got to kind of figure out what you have there. Some things need to shake out, in my opinion. I mean, they have more defensive versatility with IKF, with Jared Triolo, but I wouldn't rule it out as a possibility.
Okay. Any update on Ke'Bryan Hayes back, and has his name come up in any trade talks?
Haven't heard any trade talks, but like I said, trending in the right direction whenever it comes to health. He's doing baseball activities, looking like he's on the right path for 2025.
Awesome. Okay. And our very last question for today. So Zachary says, is Oviedo ready for opening day? Does Chandler now have a chance at opening day as well?
Chandler's chances definitely got a lot better whenever you trade away Ortiz. I mean, that's just a pure vibes thing. I wouldn't have guessed Jared Jones was going to make it last year, but, he wows. They had an opportunity. If you show you can perform and there's an opportunity, that's a great intersection for something like that. And if they were willing to do it for Jared Jones, I don't know why they wouldn't do it for Bubba. Whenever it comes to Oviedo, I mean, doing well, but this is also his first year back from TJ. I don't know. Maybe they want to be a little more cautious with him. Do you rehab a little more, get going? But fully expect him to be part of this rotation. That's why they felt comfortable that they could trade from the starting pitching depth, because they have those 3 top 100 prospects in the minors, and you were getting Oviedo back.
Awesome. Well, good stuff. Well, everyone, there's our Q&A today with Alex Stumpf. No more questions. Alex, as always, thank you for coming on. And for everyone else, we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.
All right, that wraps up this episode of North Shore 9. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whether you're listening on the podcast or catching us on YouTube, if you enjoyed the show, please give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It really helps us grow. And if you're listening on the podcast, a quick review goes a long way in helping others find the show. Plus, be sure to tell a friend about us. There's always room for more here in the NS9 community. And for those looking to support us a little more, consider joining our Patreon, become an MVP member, and get exclusive perks while helping us continue to bring you more of the Pirates content you love. Thanks again for all your support, and let's go Bucks.